Next, we want to move into looking at a piece of technology that we'll introduce here with some relatively simple problems, but we'll revisit and use throughout the semester, particularly when we deal with application-based problems. Before we get into that technology, though, we want to review a couple of concepts here. An equation is two expressions set equal to each other. For instance, we have the expression 4x plus 3 set equal to negative x minus 2. Or we could have an equation like 7x minus 3 is equal to 4, where there's not a variable on both sides of the equation. You've likely tackled problems like this in the past, and we would manually use algebra properties to solve. Instead, for the next few examples, what we're going to look at doing is solving these using an online tool called Symbolab. Or Symbolab, I'm not really sure how you pronounce it, but I call it Symbolab. Again, we'll look at solving these equations, and then we'll revisit this technology later on in the course, specifically when we look at solving business applications using algebra, or that require algebra. First thing we'll do here is update some language. These are some older notes that I didn't get updated, so that these are referencing using this tool Symbolab. And in each case, we just want to solve the given equation for x. To do that, we'll visit symbolab.com, and we'll be met with a box to enter a problem. I'm doing this on a tablet. Obviously, the interface will look a little bit different, but when I do that, this set of tools pops up for me to use to type things in. You can certainly use those, or if you have a keyboard or depending on the device you're using, move down to this box and we can type in the problem that we want to solve. We'll start off by entering the command solve, just telling it what we want it to do, and then open up a set of parentheses to type in 0.02 minus 0.24, and then close those parentheses. By pressing Shift 6 or using the exponent tool up above, we can get an exponent box and we can enter in a 2. To get out of that box, you can either tab or press the right arrow or touch to the right of that, but we need to make sure we move the cursor out of that exponent box. To type x plus 0.32 is equal to 0.73. Once we've typed in our equation with that command at the beginning, then we can go ahead and evaluate this, or solve this. It's going to give us our solution in two different forms. First as a decimal divided by a decimal, but then as a simplified decimal answer, 8.47107, with those dots indicating that this decimal continues to go on. What we'll do is take that value and round it to 4 decimal places. Generally, when Symbolab gives an answer in decimal form, that 5th decimal place, it usually gives 5 decimal places, and that 5th decimal place isn't rounded, it's just telling you that those numbers keep going. So we can look at that 7, which is the last digit it's giving us, which tells us we would round that 0 up to a 1, giving us a solution of approximately 8.471. 8.4711. And then we can do the same thing with our next equation. Tapping the pencil icon will let us back into that box to enter our equation, and this time we'll ask it to solve 0.17y minus the quantity 0.72 plus 0.37. Close off those parentheses and multiply that quantity times y, set equal to 0.56. When we evaluate that, it gives us an exact answer of negative 14 over 23, and it gives us the decimal answer that we can round. In the event that Symbolab doesn't give you the decimal approximation, and that's what we want, So say in this case we only got the answer y equals negative 14 over 23. We could go back to this tool and just type in negative 14 over 23, and it would complete that division step and give us the solution as the decimal answer. But again, rounding in this case would tell us that y is approximately equal to negative 0.6087. In our last example, we'll again go back into that box to edit our command, and we'll ask it to solve this last equation, negative 0.01z minus the quantity 1 minus 0.27, and close those parentheses, set equal to negative 0.76 times z. And again, we'll get that decimal solution, which will round to 4 decimal places to give us a solution of z is approximately equal to 0.9733.